Hey guys, it's Bro You Whack, and welcome to the 5th Overwatch tier list. Over the past 3 years, I've done 4 different tier lists, and the game has changed drastically even in just the 3 years that I've been doing these tier lists. But I actually plan for this to be the second to last tier list that I ever do for Overwatch 1. Now, obviously in Overwatch 2, I'll be doing a bunch of tier lists, but I plan for there to be a final tier list in Overwatch's one final month as a game, and then we'll transition into Overwatch 2. But we gotta get through this tier list first. Now, I'm sure you guys know how tier list works, but let me just explain to you how I do it, at least in the case of ranking Overwatch heroes. So it goes from S to F tier, where S tier basically are must pick heroes. A tier heroes are really good heroes, but always gets outshined by either S tier heroes. B tier heroes are good heroes, but there are just a few problems with them. C tier heroes are mid tier heroes. There are some that are better, some that are worse. D tier are near useless heroes, and F tier are basically useless heroes. You never want to run these heroes at all. So let's get started with our favorite grandma of the group, Ana, and right away I'm gonna be placing her in A tier. She has always been a very solid healer. There's only 2 issues with her. One, she has no self-health regeneration ability like Mercy. Now, of course, that will change for all support heroes in Overwatch 2, where they all have passive healing. But the second issue, which isn't really an issue, is that she has a high skill gap, meaning that you gotta be able to hit your shots, you gotta have accurate aim, and if you don't have accurate aim, you're gonna be basically a useless hero on the field because you're not doing your job as a healer. But as soon as you master aiming, I mean, the anti-grenade has always been a great ability that can only get wiped away by the Zarya bubble. A sleep dart can stop the flanks and can protect yourself. And a nano boost, I mean, on a tank, it's literally one of the best initiating ults in the whole entire video game. Moving on to our second favorite cowboy, that being Ashe. The first of which is Bob, which is the whole reason why you play Ashe. All jokes aside, the Bob is actually a good reason to play Ashe. Great initiator ultimate, provides a little bit of space and breathing room, and also replaces the suicide bombing Reinhardt on your team. That being said, the rest of Ashe's kit has a lot to be desired. That's why I'm gonna be placing her in B tier. Now, that doesn't mean she's bad by any means. I mean, she has great damage potential, and with a pocket Mercy, she can insta-kill a lot of squishies. But again, this is just ranking Ashe, not Ashe and Mercy. And that's also gonna apply for Pharah down the road. But the coach gun, it's really only there for mobility purposes, and TNT can easily get blocked by a shield, which is very dominant in today's meta, double shield. And that's why someone like Baptiste is gonna thrive in double shield, because it's a little bit more stationary. But not only that, Baptiste just has a very powerful ability in the form of Immortality Field. That's why we be putting him in S tier. I not only think he's one of the best healers, but one of the best heroes in Overwatch right now. And I really want to credit all to Immortality Field, but it's not just that. He has great DPS for a support hero. The healing output is extravagant, but it's really the Immortality Field that we're all playing Baptiste for. I mean, something like a Zarya grab is easily not going to matter if they have Immortality Field. And all you gotta do is just not use Immortality Field until Zarya grabs, or just kill the Baptiste. But that just goes to show how important Baptiste is and why he's S tier. Bastion, it's a pretty easy hero to rank. He's going in D tier. Now, the only reason why he's not useless is because he is good in pirate ship comp. I mean, he is a force to be reckoned with, but you gotta think, you gotta play on a payload map, and you gotta be attacking. So that basically negates about 66% of the map rotations. The biggest pro for Bastion, he has the highest DPS output. The biggest con is that he's stationary, and that just makes him such an easy target to hit. Plus, he's big and bulky. If they were to make them size of Soldier 76, maybe he'd be even C tier just on size alone, but D tier is where he's probably going to be staying up until Overwatch 2, and he gets his new ultimate. He's able to move in his tank form. He's going to be such a tasty hero, man. Brigitte is always a weird hero to rank because she's always getting nerfed, but she always makes her way back into the meta, but she's never like the best tier like she was in GOAT. So I'm going to be putting her in B tier just because of her spam like armor heals. That's really good heals for an aggressive hero like maybe Reinhardt or maybe Genji, or just somebody who needs a burst of heals like instantly, compared to someone like Baptiste where you actually got to shoot a couple of shots. But again, that's why Baptiste is so good, is because he has so much DPS or healing output. Brigitte is a very mobile, brawly hero. It's not like she takes a lot of coordination, but you got to push together as a team for Brigitte to be very useful for everybody. She can be useful, but if everybody can be around the Brigitte, oh, she's just going to be maximizing the heals that she does. But if you're not moving and if you're not together, I think she's just kind of useless, and you might as well be playing someone like Mora. Doomfist is another one of those heroes that is constantly getting nerfed, but is always making his way back into the meta, and I don't know why. Like, obviously, he has tons of counters, which is why a lot of pro players and high echelon players say that he's one of the worst heroes, but they might disagree with me on this, but I say he's an A tier hero. It's when Doomfist one trick just not only masters Doomfist and knows not to dive after those characters, but take advantage of his environment. He is one of really the only hero in the game that can break the design of the whole entire map. If you can master diagonals, he is one of the most mobile heroes in the game where you don't know when he's coming. Like, if you're Zenyatta in the back and you're not communicating with your team, you're basically done for. He's gonna be diving you every single time. Not only that, he's gonna be tilting you and the whole entire team because nobody's stopping the Doomfist. So he not only takes just like CC heroes, but he also takes communication, and that's something that, especially on console, people don't want to do for whatever reason. So Doomfist is just able to thrive. He has an insta-kill ability in the form of his rocket punch on squishies. He's able to take advantage of the map, and he has high mobility, and he can become 400 HP before he even becomes a tank in Overwatch 2. Now, D.Va has been receiving a lot more love recently, but the way that I kind of ranked a lot of these tanks is like, okay, well, what are the ideal tanks to play, and let's put them in their respective categories. So that's why we're putting her in C tier. Now, she's not bad. If anything, she's probably one of the best mid-tier heroes right now. There's just better tanks to play. Like I mentioned before, double shield is very popular right now, but that doesn't mean D.Va can't hang if you do have a shield. But if you have a Roadhog and a D.Va, that's gonna be bad news bears. A Winston and D.Va dive, that's good, but double shield is better. I do feel like defense matrix is a big reason why you would play, especially with someone like Soldier and Cole Cassidy, and even Doomfist being so popular right now, you're able to eat up a lot of those bullets. But again, the fact that there's just better tanks to play makes her in C tier. Now, Echo is the newest hero in Overwatch, releasing in 2020, so that's not really saying much, but I'm also gonna be putting her in C tier. She's a decent shield buster, doing double damage with her beam on half health shields, and it's pretty easy to get to half health with just her alone. And I kind of picture her to be a better Pharah, where you can even run an Echo without a Mercy. She also has her ultimate, which allows her to be a lot more aggressive in certain team fights. All you gotta do is really copy the Reinhardt, which just goes to show how good Reinhardt is still in this meta. But yeah, you're really playing Echo for the ultimate and being able to push in on that single aggressive ult. Genji's always a tough hero to rank because he can just offer so much that if you're not utilizing everything that he has, you might as well play a simpler hero that is a lot more consistent. But because he has a wall climbing ability, 2 different forms of DPS output, a dash that gets reset based on your kills or your team kills, well, if you can maximize all that, I feel like he can be a really good B tier hero. Like, I do feel like Overwatch League pros can make him into an S tier hero, but again, like, we're not all Overwatch League pros, so that's why I think, like, yeah, he can do good, but if you're a bad Genji, you're a really just a bad player on the field. I just noticed that A and B were 2 different colors, but on to my least favorite hero in all of Overwatch, Hanzo. And the reason, and I always say this for Hanzo, the reason why I hate Hanzo is because he is so good. Now, maybe not in today's meta, but against double shield, he can be decent. He can just spam his arrows constantly, and with his storm arrows, it can easily get brought down. But the reason why I also hate Hanzo is that he just has to peek the corner, and he gets an insta-kill. Now, that's the point of a sniper, but compared to someone like Widowmaker, he has way more mobility, and he just also has way more DPS output against a diving tank like Winston or D.Va. But that's really what you gotta do to stop the Hanzo. Just simply dive him, or just pick him out of positions with Roadhog's hook. So that's why I think he's B tier, not A tier. Previously, I probably would have ranked him in A tier. Junkrat has also been getting a little bit more love because of double shield, where previously I might have ranked him in D tier, but let's rank him in C tier. Again, he's just a glass cannon. He has a lot of DPS output, but compared to a hit scan, you're not hitting a lot of your shots with it. You're just kind of spamming down the corridors of Temple of Anubis, and if you're not hitting a shield or hitting an enemy, you might as well just be playing a hit scan hero, because at least then you'd be hitting something and getting ultimate charge, which, speaking of his ultimate, I feel like now in the 6th year, hitting a Riptire is so much easier compared to something like in 2017, where everyone was bad, and a Riptire could easily get like a 3, 4, 5, even a 6-man, where nowadays, hitting a Riptire is a lot more common than actually getting a 6-man. Lucio, I don't feel like he's become obsolete, but compared to Baptiste, I do feel like he doesn't really serve like that big of a purpose like how he did in GOATS or in Dive or these previous metas before Baptiste's time. Really, a big reason why you're playing Lucio is because you're Reddit Lucio and you can just frag out by getting environmental kills, or you just can't easily get touched compared to someone playing Baptiste, which is very easy to kill because he's either bouncing up in the air, which is also something I forgot to mention for Baptiste, is that he's able to get to high ground and get away from dangerous situations, but that's kind of a big reason why you're playing Lucio, is because you're mechanically gifted and you're better than most of the Overwatch population. Cole Cassidy, one of the most overrated heroes in Overwatch. When the hit scan nerf came in, he was the one that got hurt the most, meaning that he does less damage over time. So compared to someone like Soldier 76 who does less damage but is more consistent, I would play Soldier over Cole Cassidy. So that's why I'm putting him in B tier. He still has his place. If you're an aim god, obviously you play someone like Cole Cassidy because you can hit those headshots. It just takes 2 on a squishy, and against a tank you can do a lot of damage too. But his ultimate, it's terrible. It can easily get stopped. All you gotta do is just hide. That's it. You either gotta flank, put yourself in a dangerous situation, which you should really never do, and if you do, you're really hoping the enemy team is not communicating or just really bad. I almost forgot to talk about the flashbang, which unless you're relying on the flashbang to kill like a Tracer, Genji, or Doomfist, maybe you're not that good of a Cole Cassidy main, where you should probably play somebody that's a lot more forgiving with their aim. May. You guys know me. I love May. She's my favorite hero in Overwatch, but just like how she was back in 2017, she is just as bad. She is a D tier hero. Now, obviously, in a team setting, she is awesome because she stops heroes in their tracks, but she's not a DPS machine. She's not gonna be the one that gets a lot of kills unless you're really good with your secondary fire. But if that's the case, you might as well just play Cole Cassidy or play Hanzo or just play people that are meant to like frag out. May, she's really there to amplify the other DPS hero because she freezes them and then you both send your secondary fire and their main form of fire and you instantly kill the tank or the DPS. I don't know why people thought she was overpowered. I don't think she is. If you're still getting killed by a May in 2022, you suck. All you gotta do is just back away. Back away, play at a distance, and that's all. You made her useless. Congratulations, you counted the mate. You didn't even need to pick a certain hero. Mercy's one of the few exceptions where I'll consider her play with other heroes because it's kind of the whole reason why you play Mercy. But I'm putting her at the top of B tier. Now, normally I don't concern myself with the rankings of specific category of heroes like, oh, is Brigitte better than Ashe? But I do feel like it's important to put her in B tier, one, so I don't get canceled by the Mercy community, which is the most ruthless community out there. But I do feel like she is really good with an Ashe, with a Pharah, with even a Soldier 76 that is ulting. And when you have a good, consistent, and also reliable DPS hero that you can pocket, Mercy's your go-to here. In some cases, could even be better than Ana. But I feel like in a general sense for a support hero, I do feel like Ana's heal output, if you can master the heals and have good aim, she can be better. But then again, Baptiste, you have so much healing potential, and Immortality just it's just so good, man. Where her ultimate, it's really good for initiating. Moore is the perfect example of one of the most steady healers in the game, but because she's so steady, she doesn't really have any game-changing moments like Ana. She doesn't really have any counter potential like Lucio or even Baptiste's Immortality field, and she doesn't obviously have any pocket potential. I'm putting her in D tier. If you want damage, play a Zenyatta, play a Lucio, play an Ana, play a Baptiste. If you want good heals, I mean, she could do that, yeah, but so can Ana, so can Mercy, so can especially Baptiste. Her ultimate is decent for like an initiating ultimate, but it doesn't really have a lot of killing potential when the enemy tank still has armor. If they don't have armor, it's pretty good because it can break through the shield, but that's really like those few instances which makes her such a niche support hero. And the same things I said for more of the same I could say for Orisa. Now I will put her above like Bastion and May because I don't think Orisa's useless. Obviously in pulled porn cops she can be really good. In double shield, I mean, you could get by, but you're running double shield. Why not run a Reinhardt and a Sigma? And when that's the case, that makes her obsolete. That makes her job as a shield tank completely useless because there's better tanks to play. Her ultimate can easily get destroyed compared to someone like Reinhardt's or even Sigma's. While Sigma is the ultimate itself and you can easily just stun and stop him, all you really have to do is just stand far away. And also Orisa's hitbox just makes her such an easy target to hit even for the mechanically challenged in Overwatch. There's a reason why she's getting reworked in Overwatch 2, and it's because she's just a terrible shield tank and also just a terrible tank in general. Pharah, not Pharmacy, I'm gonna be putting in C tier. I always say this, the reason why she is a C tier A-tier heroes because unless you have a Mercy, she is left so vulnerable in the sky. Now, obviously, a good Pheromane will be able to navigate the map, know when to use cover, know when to go in, really capitalize on the concussion, but I feel like it just takes somewhat of a competent hit scan to even make the best Pheromanes look completely weak. Now, again, we're not including Mercy in this. If you have a competent Pheromane and a Mercy, S tier, I would put it there. Like, I would put both of them there, but that's not the case. They're single heroes. Plus, Echo, I feel like, has an ultimate that can make Rocket Barrage have a run for its money. Reaper, he's great in close quarters, but so is Hanzo, so is Soldier, so is Cole Cassidy, so is Roadhog, which is who Reaper counters. That's why I'm putting him at the top of D tier, just because, I mean, what he excels at isn't too great, and plus his ultimate could easily get stopped by a lot of CC. Really, the reason why Reaper could be B or C tier or anything is if he's flanking around, but even then, all it takes is a good coordinated team to just catch on to you flanking, look around, defense matrix, Roadhog could just like see that you're there and scare you away. Even though he's one of the scariest heroes in Overwatch, he gets scared very easily into submission. Reinhardt. I don't think there's ever been a time where Reinhardt's been a terrible hero. There's been times where he wasn't the go-to hero, but I'm gonna be putting him in A tier. Double Shield is lethal right now. Now, it doesn't mean he's a must-pick tank, but if you insta-lock Reinhardt, no one's gonna be upset. He's good in Brawl, he's good in Bunker, he's good by himself. Like, if you have any other tank, whether it's a Roadhog or a D.Va, if you have Reinhardt, he's good there. Like, the only time where he's like really bad is Dive with D.Va and Winston, but are you really trying to outweigh Dive with Double Shield or just doing a Zarya Reinhardt combo? Maybe in some scenarios if they have snipers or a Genji, but Reinhardt, he's just good, man. And paired up with Ana, paired up with Baptiste, like, he's really good with a lot of heroes in Overwatch. Compared to someone like Roadhog, he doesn't pair well with a lot of tanks. That's why I'm putting him at D tier, but closer to the top of D tier. Let me explain why. You're probably arguing, oh, well, he can get an insta-kill with his hook. You throw a hook at the Soldier 76 on top of the ledge and you get an insta-kill. Yeah. What happens if you miss? What does he do then? Like, literally, what does he do that other tanks can't do? He doesn't protect your team unless you're counting his big fat belly, which if that's the case, okay, great. That makes you an ult battery. That's a big reason why Roadhog's so bad, is that if he misses his hook, you're gonna feed the enemy team so much. And you really don't know how much ultimate you're feeding them until you lose the game. And at that point, it's already too late. Decent, it can provide CC, but can also get stopped by a lot of other CC. Another Roadhog hook, a flashbang, like so many things can stop the grind. And plus, like, Ana's such a popular hero that an anti-grenade makes you literally useless. I mean, once an anti-hog is on the field, you're dead. Like all it takes is for the team to see purple, and you're finished. He's good in pulled pork, that makes him D tier in a niche comp and not F tier and completely useless, but there's just better tanks to play and you're not a feeding machine, all for the off chance that you can actually get the hook on somebody. Maybe. All it takes is for them to just back away and they're protected from your hook. Sigma, I feel like ever since his release has always been solid. He just has so much utility that is beneficial. He's gonna be an A tier and towards the top of A tier because of Double Shield. These are two of the iconic heroes that you probably want to play. Now, is Sigma better than Reinhardt? I mean, some can argue, yeah, because he has a much better ultimate that doesn't get blocked by a Double Shield or just simply a shield. Plus, you have a rock that can stop flank heroes and also just stop another Sigma. And I feel like that's also another reason why Sigma's so good, is that, well, you need a Sigma to stop a Sigma. Plus his DPS, while it's relatively low, it's very consistent, and the moving shield, that's just really good, especially if you want to run maybe a little bit of a more mobile comp, especially if you're on attack. Yeah, you need that mobility, but you still need that protection. Compared to someone like Orisa or even Winston, once you place it down, I mean, you can't really advance. You're stuck there. Soldier 76, aka Jack Morrison, is a jack of all trades, master of none, but I'd rather pick Soldier than a master of one. It doesn't really apply very well here, but I'm gonna be putting him in A tier. I feel like just over time, Soldier 76's stock has climbed very slowly, but very consistently, and that's the perfect description of how Soldier is. A few headshots with his normal assault rifle can still get a lot of damage, and plus you can finish off a squishy hero with your rockets. And being mobile, being able to get on the high ground, being able to push with your team, I feel like that's very important in a team scenario. Compared to someone like Cole Cassidy, he's very slow, very inconsistent with his damage. Like, Like, I do feel like Soldier is probably your go-to DPS hero if you're learning Overwatch, if you're a master of Overwatch, and you don't really want to try to break the game by playing Doomfist. Like, Soldier is good in a lot of compositions, and he doesn't need a lot of help, whether it's from his tanks or his supports, because he has his running ability and his heal pod. He's literally a jack of all trades. Sombra, I will die on this hill. I do feel like not a lot of people utilize her to her fullest potential. She is one of the most unique heroes in Overwatch, being able to hack somebody, make them a sitting duck. Once you hack them, you gotta focus them. That's why I'm putting her in B tier. Now, statistically, she is one of the least played heroes in Overwatch, and I think that's why a lot of people will say, oh, she's D tier or F tier, but again, I feel like in my personal opinion, she has one of the best abilities, but also one of the best ultimates that is the closest to the I win button. Like, you should not ever lose a team fight when you have Sombra EMP on the field, as long as you get a majority of the team. See, that story is slowly being written for Symmetra. Even though she's not good by any stretch of the imagination, I feel like she's graduated from D tier to C tier all because of the teleporter. Nobody can do what Symmetra does, which is the surprise flank. But that does take coordination, and you can really only do it one time before the team realizes, okay, we're just gonna stop you wherever your teleporter goes. But even just by herself, again, there are much better DPS heroes. A Cole Cassidy, even a Pharah, but I feel like against Double Shield, get it to level 3, and she has one of the most DPS outputs in the whole entire damage roster, right next to Bastion even. So she's very lethal, plus her turrets, if you place them in very strategic areas, can be very annoying and very distracting. She can be very lethal because not a lot of people know how to deal with a good Symmetra, because she's not picked all that often, and that has something that not a lot of these other heroes have going for them. Like, everyone knows how to deal with a good Reinhardt, but not a lot of people know how to deal with a good Symmetra. Same thing can be said for Torbjorn, and I feel like Torbjorn, out of the two original throw heroes back in 2016, I feel like he definitely came into his own. The turret, while it's less powerful, can be very annoying and can get you some quick ultimate charge. Plus, his ultimate is a good defensive ultimate on something like Hanamura, where there's only like one choke that you can easily just come on. Pause. But even with his normal river gun, as long as you can master the projectile, where if you're a more projectile favorite player like me, where I play a lot of mid, you can find a lot of comfort with Torbjorn, where you can get a decent amount of kills. Plus, on top of that, his Angie ability, which I forgot his name. You think after playing it 6 years I know the ability's name, where it makes him very angry. You have a lot more DPS output. That means that you can get a lot more quicker kills, especially in the shotgun range. You have the secondary feel. There's a lot of utility to be had with Torbjorn that I feel like over time, people will slowly figure out how to use him more in scenarios that can maybe graduate him into B tier, but right now he's still somewhat of a niche hero where he's especially good on payload maps and defense maps. Tracer, another high skill cap hero similar to Genji, I feel like she is kind of excelling in Double Shield right now, where you can easily flank, but unlike Reaper, you have lots of ways to get out of the flank rather than just trying to hope that they don't catch on and chase you down. That's why I'm gonna be putting her in B tier and kind of towards the top of B tier, because a mechanically gifted Tracer is a force to be reckoned with. Like, again, she's a high skill cap hero like Genji and Ana, where you need to master aim, you need to have map knowledge, and you need to know when to use your abilities, because if not, you're going to be a sitting duck if you accidentally recall in a scenario where you can easily get Roadhog Hook or Cole Cassidy flashbang. Plus, the ultimate to secure you an insta-kill, as long as they don't have a Baptiste Immortality Field or Zarya Bubble, can grant you a kill for you to make more aggressive pushes as Tracer and as the whole entire team. Widowmaker is always the toughest to rank. It's all dependent on the meta. Right now, Double Shield is very prominent, which means you're not going to be doing a lot with Widowmaker. I'm going to be putting her at the top of C tier. Now, the reason why she's not even close to D tier is because all it takes is a god aimer. I mean, when you think of it, who do all the hackers play in Overwatch? They play Widowmaker. Now, that obviously doesn't determine her placing on this list, because that shouldn't matter if a player is hacking or not, but that just goes to show that all it takes is for her to get 2 kills on a squishy for you to basically win the fight. And that is very easily achievable with a Widowmaker, because all you gotta do is just creep around the corner and you get a kill. But can easily get countered by either protection or by shields or simply the enemy team just diving. At least with Hanzo, you can get away with your leap and you can wall climb to an area to protect yourself from the Winston or Diva. But Widowmaker, you have a grapple that has like, what, 13 seconds, 10 seconds? It's a very long cooldown. With his wall climbing ability, you have it at any given time. Winston, I mean, there's just better tanks to play flat out. Doesn't mean he's useless. I'm gonna be putting him in C tier because in dive comp, Diva and Winston can be really good, but I feel like out how the two dive heroes, D.Va's by far superior. In fact, I might even put D.Va in B tier just because I feel like it's not fair to put both of them next to each other, because D.Va, I mean, there's a lot more utility with her, where Winston, electricity, bubble, and jump. I mean, obviously you have the ultimate too, but that also just provides a lot more ultimate for the enemy team to feed off of you as well. Doesn't mean he's bad, but if you're a good main tank, well then play Reinhardt. Or play Hammond for whatever reason. Hammond is always just a weird hero that I don't know why is always a decent pick, but I think it's because he has so much health that because he's not dying makes him a decent pick. I might be putting him at B tier, but more towards the middle of B tier. One, because there's better tanks to play double shield, but again, if you know your maps and if you know when to push in, if you're not feeding with Hammond, which I feel like Roadhog and Hammond are two of the most feeding heroes in the game, but because Hammond has the adaptive shield, gives him a layer of protection plus the grapple compared to Roadhog, who has no protection other than his heal, which just provides even more ultimate charge. But because Hammond has a lot of protection and a lot of chance to knock teams around, displace them and focus them and to get out of sticky situations, makes him a very good solo tank to play if you don't want to play with the team or if you're just not wanting to care for the team. Zarya, I feel like, is slowly becoming less and less favorable as the years go on. She's still really good, which is why I'm maybe putting her in B tier, but more towards the top of B tier. I mean, with her grab ultimate, it's still one of the best ultimates in the game. There's no reason why you wouldn't benefit from using grab. But once again, immortality field can easily counter, so maybe that's why you wouldn't benefit from grab, but also because I feel like she gets replaced by a lot of other tanks, because she's always the second tank, either to Reinhardt or maybe even to Hammond, but Sigma, I feel like, has replaced Zarya in the double tank comp. Like, she's good on her own compared to Roadhog, but by herself, she's not good to someone like Reinhardt or Zarya or Sigma, because you need charge, and the best way to get charge is to have an aggressive pushing hero like a Hammond or a Reinhardt. And last but not least, our favorite Omnic, Zenyatta. Now we're playing a little bit more slower of a comp. We're not playing goats, which is why we don't really need Lucio that much, and if you have good aim, Discord Orb is gonna be your friend, which is why I'm gonna be putting him in A tier. Zenyatta hasn't been nerfed since 2020, which a lot of these heroes haven't been changed because, I mean, most of the manpower went towards Overwatch 2 and try to balance that game out, but I feel like that's been benefiting Zenyatta the most because slowly he's been getting better and better, and especially for heroes like Doomfist or even Genji and Tracer, a little bit more mobile, you're gonna be throwing the Discord Orb compared to someone like Mercy. You can't really expect her to go fly and pocket them, so that's why a Harmony Orb is gonna be really good, but Discord Orb is a good reason why you should be playing Zenyatta, because that can benefit someone like Soldier 76 going up against a tank, or even a Reinhardt, just something. Like, the slow sustainability but the slow extra added damage really goes unnoticed, but I feel like makes him very much an appreciated asset. Plus Transcendent, as long as they don't have an anti-grenade, I mean, it's always gonna be a good counter ultimate. It's a better immortality field, I will admit, but it's still an ultimate at the end of the day. And this is my final Overwatch 5.0 tier list. I moved around a couple of heroes like Bastion, I moved towards the end. Echo, I moved up a little bit because I do feel like her ultimate is really good. Sombra, I moved towards the bottom. The rest of this I haven't really touched. But anyway, guys, that is my tier list. Again, I want to do a tier list when Overwatch 1 ends, but also when Overwatch 2 releases. Be on the lookout soon because I will have an Overwatch 2 tier list once the beta actually comes out. But until then, I love you guys. Thank you guys for watching. More Overwatch videos to come, and bye.